Uh, I'm gonna interrupt because only my audio is going through this time. That's beautiful. So for those of you who are listening, I apologize. I'm glad I pulled this up to figure out what's happening. I want this. Nope, nope, nope. I want this audio. There we go. We're going to try that again. Craig, you want to start us over? Hold on. What is going on here? Jay doesn't know what's happening.
In practice.
It did, I promise. Do we have audio now? Go ahead, Craig, talk.
Hello,
Oh.
Jay, can you hear me?
Okay. We're good. We're good. All right. I promise this time I have audio on the YouTube, and I apologize, but shall we try take 3?
It's up to you. Does it work?
It's working. I can hear you scolding me.
Ah, okay. Well, let's try it again. Hello. Welcome to This Week in Teams, the Microsoft Ignite edition. I'm Craig Jenke, here with my co-host Jay Leask, who you might remember if you've been paying attention to any of the other shows. We have a special guest to us today, Sharon Weaver, out of Kansas City, owner of Smarter Consulting and a regional director, which is pretty high up there in the Microsoft world for our partner stuff, right? Sharon, would you like to talk about yourself? Tell us about it.
Sure thing. Yeah, so like you said, my name is Sharon Weaver. I have a background in IT. I've been doing it for over 20 years. I have kind of a background in software development and a degree in developmental psychology. So at the end of the day, I try to help people solve problems, and most of the time it's solving technical problems.
Technical problems, like my inability to get the audio working, right?
Yes. Can you help Jay? Jay needs a lot of help.
There is very little help for Jay. Sharon, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you. It's been a crazy couple of days trying to fit in work and the virtual conference and family, of course, because they still are. I'm still pleased to provide them time. I'm not going to say they require time. I actually enjoy that, but thank you for joining us. It's very exciting to have you.
Thanks for
I've
having
been talking you up, Sharon. Jay thinks that you're really good. So
Oh,
I've
well,
told him that you're one of my favorite people in the industry.
Aw, thanks.
So
Is
we
he
met
lying?
you've done my event, SharePoint Chicago, which Saturday or whatever it is, it's going to M365 Chicago coming
I
up.
have.
You've done that for a number of years. Have you been doing
Yeah.
it since 2013, since we
I've
started?
been doing it I think almost every year we've been up there.
And occasionally you bring Jonathan with.
Yeah, he tags along occasionally.
You letting him out much now that he can't drive? I hear he had an accident in IKEA parking lot.
Yeah, so he went to pick up, he wanted another table, and one of my pieces was damaged mildly in shipping. So he ran up there to get a few parts and apparently didn't notice that there was a big concrete beam next to his car. So,
Oh no.
yeah. So, and at the same time, he was trying to do a good deed, and he went to push a cart back to the corral, and it kind of spun around and hit him in the leg at the same time. So, IKEA tried to attack him, which is why he doesn't go there on a regular basis to begin with. So,
Ikea,
But
the bringer of amazing flat packs and apparently injuries. So there you go.
we don't go there very often, but we just went there, and yeah, he didn't fare well, so he's okay. We're icing his leg, and don't tell anybody, because we're going to Branson next week for North American Collaboration Summit, where we're sponsoring, and I'm actually presenting, and so I'm hoping that he will be okay and be able to be on his feet for the whole week.
Sweet.
Well,
Just so
we
you know,
won't
we made
tell
our
anybody.
selections for M365. We picked your 2 sessions. We just haven't sent the email yet.
It's all good. Yeah, I need to put out some new sessions. This year has just been a little tiny bit busy.
Right.
And so, whew, all kinds of good new stuff to talk about, though.
So about that, what kind of good news stuff do you want to talk about?
Oh, there's all kinds of exciting stuff. So what's interesting is, I mean, obviously, I think Azure is kind of ruling the roost this year. There's just so many crazy cool things coming out in Azure.
Yeah.
Over the last few days, I've been trying to catch as many sessions as I can, while still keeping up with the stuff I have to do, and sleeping occasionally when I get a chance.
I don't know if the virtual conference is better or worse, because at least if you go to the conference, right, there's nothing else to do but go to the conference and maybe network. If you're home, like I was telling Jay, I had nothing on my week because I was going to do MS Ignite stuff, and people were my calendar's open. I'm still working, filled up, and then I got to run my daughters to dance tonight and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, my one tip. So everybody kind of always writes their Ignite tips of kind of things to prepare, and I posted my one tip on Twitter, which is basically fill your calendar up with your sessions so that people can see you're busy. Because if you put those on your calendar instead of meetings, it'll show your schedule will show red, your calendar will show you the meeting, and if you still can't keep people at bay, then just set your status to do not disturb.
I'm sorry, did you say your Skittle will look red?
Yeah, the little thing on your status.
Oh, yeah.
Your status alerts.
Awesome.
That changes colors.
Yes.
So if you have a meeting on your calendar and it shows that you're busy, then your status will show red on everything.
I've never heard that called a Skittle.
Sorry, it's an old school term, Skittle. Remember on Skype it was round and it's like red or green or yellow? They're like Skittles.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
So you've been saying that you're trying to catch sessions. Which sessions have you caught, and which ones have you liked the most?
I've done about half Azure sessions just because there's so many cool new things coming out, and then half on more of the Office side. A little bit of the Power Platform stuff. I think I really enjoyed seeing the stuff where Power BI and Power Apps is built directly into Teams now.
Yeah.
So there's some new features coming around that. I've been working with Power BI since it was a glint in someone's eye, and so that's really exciting to have all of that kind of come together. And with all the Power Platform stuff that Jonathan and I do, having that baked directly into Teams is going to make a huge difference for our users because you don't have to keep connecting everything.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting.
I saw single sign-on for other apps too, right? Is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of extensibility stuff coming in. So so a lot of easier pass-through. You're not having to go to different places. That's actually one of my notes. I've been taking notes of kind of some of the cool things that are happening. And I think this kind of idea where you're taking the fabric and you're connecting it all together so that when you go into one place, you can kind of get to everything is really, really nice.
Yeah.
A lot of the Azure stuff that I like, so there's Azure Communication Services, I think is going to be humongous. Like, I mean, it's a game changer, like for everything, to have that communication service built in that you can enable. Another big one that I like is the API Management Center. So being able to build custom APIs and push them directly to the Power Platform, like, oh my God.
I saw that. That
crazy amazing.
Cool. Yeah, I know. Actually, I had a guy asking me for that service like a week or two ago.
Right?
Yeah, so that's
people are asking for that. Well, and you can do it kind of in Power BI right now. Power BI will help you create your APIs. But the idea that you can have a whole center just to be able to have your devs build them and then they'll push them to your app so you can just consume them from there is going to make life so much easier. And And then I think the other thing that I really like is the Azure Synapse stuff. So I've been following the Azure Synapse stuff closely. I have some clients that are starting to pull some of that in. And the idea that you can do some more advanced data modeling and push it all directly to PBI is just, I think it's going to make life a lot easier in general.
Yeah. And I saw some of that, so that's cool. It's not the space that I play in a lot, so I've just been kind of paying attention to that. I did see that they've rolled out some security and compliance stuff more with the Azure. That
right before I got right before I got on this call with you guys, I was like trying to catch the last few minutes of the security sync with Defender, because I'm watching them, like how it all works and how it like goes all the way down to the granular level to check everything. And I was like watching the last couple minutes before I popped over here.
Cool.
That's fantastic.
So, I guess I was going to go with what do you think you're going to be able to take to your clients? And you kind of touched on that, but can you
all of it?
All of it?
Just all of it. Like this, I think one of the things that I've tried over the last couple of years, I feel like I've done really fantastic of keeping up with the Office 365 and the team space. That's kind of like where I've lived for 20 years. So I think bringing that along has been great. I've really been trying to incorporate more Power Platform stuff into what I do every day, which, obviously I'm not like super literate in building apps, but I know how it works architecturally, and Jonathan spends a lot of time in it. So between the two of us, we do a lot of good stuff. But the Azure stuff and the graph is stuff where I really want to learn more about. So I've watched it and I've kept kind of up with it, but I've been like at a level 1, level 2. And now I feel like maybe this year with all the new stuff that's coming in, maybe I can really start to do more with that layer, which is really exciting.
Yeah, cool. So tell me if you've seen this, because I'm curious. Go back like 4 or 5 years ago, and you would go to Ignite, you would go to the conference, you'd see the cool stuff, but it didn't really matter because you knew that wasn't going to roll. Your clients weren't going to go out to 3 or 4 for 3 or 4 years, because they were going to wait until their licenses expired and that kind of stuff, and moved from on-premises to the cloud.
Right.
COVID has changed that a lot, with people being forced to the cloud. But when I talked, so it might be the clients that I talk to, but they seem full on board of learning the greatest, latest and greatest type of things, and trying to take advantage of that. I still got some that are going kicking and screaming, right? With anything, there's change management and they're all worried about that. But what have you been seeing on your end?
Yeah, I think so. I have a couple of clients that are like pioneer. Like they're like, as soon as Microsoft's rolling it out, they're like, can we have it? Can we have it? Can we have it? Can we get it out? And that's been really exciting, because I get to participate and I get to use it in real life, and I get to see how it's working for somebody. I have plenty of other clients, though, and plenty of other people who call me who are like, okay, so COVID, and we started using Teams, and we don't know what we're doing now, right?
Right.
Like, how do we do this? We need training. We need help. We thought this was going to be easy. We built some stuff, and now it's all over the place. I would probably say, for sure, COVID has been probably one of the biggest, like it should win an award for most digital transformations of 2020.
Yes.
Because it has shoved more people into remote work than probably I've ever seen. I've been fighting for this. You've been fighting for this for how many years? And we're like, it's so cool. You want to be here. And they're like, eh. And then COVID happens, and it's like, oh, I guess we're going to do that. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people kind of got shoved over because they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. And now they're like, well, we did it, but now we don't know what to do with it. Right. So it's funny because my team's talking about this idea of like, we're going to put out some sort of offering that's basically like, I got Office 365 or I got Microsoft 365. And we want to take them from that to, I'm glad I got Microsoft 365.
Right. Right. Yes.
What do you do next, right? So I would say we'll probably spend a lot of time over the next 6 to 12 months doing training, governance, adoption, really getting people to understand what it is that they've got and why it's good, so that they can get to the next level, which is, now that we've kind of got this under control, now what do we want to do with it in terms of features and apps and, collaboration and building it all together and incorporating mobile devices. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but you got to get through those first kind of steps to get there.
Right.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. So I focus more on the government space over the last 5 years. Over the last almost 10 years now, I've been focused on federal and DoD customers. In the last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten more state and local customers, and it is interesting to see the time delay to adoption of tools. But over the last 2 years, the government's really started to get more excited and more engaged on the cloud side of things, and of course.
And more
As
upset.
Yeah, I was about to say, as they've done that, they've started to hit that roadblock of these really cool things were announced, and we have no idea when that's going to be released.
Right.
Although the pace at which those releases is definitely getting closer. So it's been really interesting to try and talk to our customers about why they should care about an event like this. Like, you have to plan for these things, and the fact that you're given the almost opportunity to plan for them, as opposed to some customers who these features pop up on the first day of release. You have 6 months to see how does it go well, and what can you learn from those releases. I try and spin it the best way I can, right?
No, I think that's really smart, because like when we had it on prem, we it's so funny. Jonathan and I were just having this conversation yesterday. So when we had it on prem, we could control that, right? So we had our non-prod and our prod environments. Yep. And in our non-prod environments, we test everything out, push it to the limit, make sure it didn't blow anything up, so that when we rolled it over, we not only tested it technically, but also were ready for that, change management piece of showing people, training people, rolling it all out communication-wise. They knew it was coming. Whereas in the cloud right now, it's like I was in there doing something with a client, I'm clicking, and they're asking me a question. I'm like, yeah, you just do this, and I popped it open. I'm like, look, there's a whole new button that I didn't even know was going to be there.
I love that.
I read like every single thing I could read, and I didn't even know it was coming. And so I ran in the other room and I told Jonathan, like, hey, you might want to look at this. He pulled his up, and sure enough, there's that button. And so, I mean, from a change management perspective, you're like, oh, look, that happened. Okay, let's put a plan around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been more than one time that I've been demoing for a client going, oh, there's a new button here. Well, this one does this. Because I can read what the button says.
Yeah.
What's really fun is when people are, so I'm a Microsoft certified trainer too. Mm-hmm. So what's really funny is when people are paying you really good money to train them on this stuff, and you're training, and you're like, oh, look, that doesn't do what I thought it's supposed to do. It now does this instead. Because you got to keep going.
Yeah, yeah. We have... So AvePoint is a big Microsoft partner, and we're in TAP. We're in the TAP program, so we get the earlier releases than many than commercial customers, or especially the government customers, right? And so we'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden one of us. So the new discussion thread button appeared in our channels. And it appeared to one of us, and then over the rest of the next 2 days, like, it started to appear to everyone. And it just becomes that feature, that concept of like scavenger hunt in Microsoft Teams for the new features, right?
Yeah, who's got it and who doesn't. Well, and it's really interesting how it doesn't even just roll out by tenant, like it'll roll out by person.
Yes.
Right.
Individuals in each tenant, I'll talk to people, and I'll have to be like, okay, who has this? Who doesn't have it yet?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has to do with who's closing Teams and who's just leaving it open. Because it's supposed to update when you close it, and then so quit it and whatnot. But
well, there's a setting. There's even a fun setting in the Teams client that allows it to run in the background even when you close the app.
Yeah.
And so some people will be like, "Why is this still running?" And I'm like, "Oh, you have to go into the settings and click the little box that says, or uncheck the box that says run in the background, because otherwise it'll never shut down until you reboot your computer."
Yep. Oh yeah, it's. The pace of change has been amazing, but there are some definite repercussions on the end user side, especially just realizing you have to change how you do things in order to just take advantage of what's there.
Dude, I think it makes people chill out. Like, you have to chill out a little bit. Like, in the old software world, like, everybody was like command and control, right? Yeah. Like, every single little checkbox has to be checked. And in the new world, I go to consult with these people who, have had this kind of every single thing has been monitored. Right. And in the new world, I'm like, you just kind of got to relax a little. I mean, there is such a thing as real security, but when it comes to like feature rollout and things like that, sometimes you just kind of like got to push back and be okay.
It's either one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to roll out and go, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. Or why the heck did they change that when they moved the search bar to the top of like Outlook? So that was one that was a culture shock.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I have a couple clients that have custom themes around the way that they've got their SharePoint stuff set up. So when the search bar went to the top, like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what just happened?
But you know what? Yes. After 3 days, you're like, okay, well, I can't change it. Suck it up.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So.
we have a lot of conversations about who moved my cheese today.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So Sharon, if we were at a conference, I would be coming out of the booth for this conversation. AvePoint would have our big 20 by 20 somewhere near the front door, and Craig would probably be out in the expert spot area, or even giving presentations. Where would you be if this were a live in-person conference today?
Wait, do you want the honest answer, or do you want the conference appropriate answer?
I want the honest answer.
The honest answer is I would probably be likely networking with some people in a pool.
That's fantastic.
I would probably have a drink in my hand, and I'd probably be in a pool, and I'd probably be doing some networking during this time in the afternoon. No, I mean, honestly, like I do float back and forth. So I would say, for a week-long event, it kind of depends on what's going on. But you can usually find me in the expo hall, wandering around talking to people, or probably in the product group area, looking at all the new stuff and talking to everybody, or at some networking event of some sort, talking to somebody. You get the theme here, probably talking to somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
So with that, I do have a question. We're going to take a step back. And you mentioned that you've been in the industry for a long time. I think you said 20 years, kind of come up through it. You have your own business. You're doing pretty successful with it. I know Ralph from Magenic has spoke highly of you, said that, they brought you in to help their organization because they're short on people who know as much as you. And I know you've been working a lot with Crow Systems and several other agencies and that kind of thing. I've talked to you personally last SharePoint North America when one of my coworkers was thinking about like starting their own business. So personal development side, what advice would you give to a young person coming out of, just getting started in IT? What should they do? What should they focus on?
Yeah, so I actually spend a lot of time in this now. I do a lot of mentoring and a lot of coaching, especially for women in technology, but that's not to say that I don't coach, guys as well.
Sure.
I would say, if you're new to the technology scene, there's a couple of different primary things. One of them is to get in the know, right? So I definitely encourage people, if you're in technology, specifically in Microsoft, get on Twitter. Whether or not you're participating doesn't really matter. It's a really good source of information. Just tons and tons of information you can follow out there so you can keep up with what's going on. I always push them towards things like Learn or LinkedIn Learning. Right now, Microsoft has their Global Skills Initiative that's happening. And so a lot of times I'll send people that link to kind of look into different learning paths that they could do for free, where they can actually study up and learn about different areas in technology. I think the biggest thing that people don't realize is how many different areas there are in technology. And so everybody thinks that to be in IT, you have to be a developer. And there's so many different options all the way around, the whole different spectrum of different things. So it's really, I'll actually talk to people and find out kind of what personalities they've got and maybe send them to a BA meeting or a QA meeting or a dev meeting or maybe a infrastructure meeting or an admin meeting to kind of let them see, here's these different things that are out there. And then after that, it's really just a matter of kind of getting in and playing. So I highly encourage people to become part of the dev community. So Microsoft offers a fantastic way to sign up for free dev environments through both Office 365 and Power Platform. And I usually will send those links out to people and say, sign up and play and see what you like and see what you don't like. But I think a lot of it is just really knowing what's out there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I have two nephews who I tried to, when they were going to college, I was like, you should really look into IT, kind of going in that route, something to do with IT. Yeah. And both their answers were, we don't really like math and we don't want to sit in front of a computer all day. I'm like, That's not what I do. And what are they doing? They're like, they've got office jobs and they sit in front of a computer all day.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, in fact, I like to talk to people. So this is early, and what's really funny is I'm kind of half and half. Like half of me really enjoys just interfacing with people and finding out about what's going on and asking a lot of questions. And the other half of me just really loves building things. Like I really like making solutions. And so I early on wasn't really sure kind of which way I leaned. I knew that I liked computer. I knew that I liked technology. I knew that I liked solutioning, but I also knew that I liked people, and I didn't want to spend every day, all day, like heads down on my computer. And which led me through the business analysis route. So I ended up becoming a business and systems analyst and doing more architecture than anything. And I really learned how to kind of spend half my time talking to people and finding out what they needed, and half of my time helping to create the solution. And so I think it's a matter of finding out what is it that they really want to spend their time doing, and how does that play into the technology world.
Yeah. That's one of the conversations I have the most with our customers, especially in the government side. We have heard for so many years the do more with less motto that business analysts and communications and marketing for IT have all been ripped out of the government agencies. And so trying to talk to them and help them understand the value that brings to a successful IT rollout. So it's really good to hear you talk about that path, because it's necessary to be successful, especially with a platform like Microsoft 365. This is not a stand up a file share and walk away tool. This is a tool where you have to map the capabilities, which are almost endless, to the requirements of your organization. So to hear that conversation is really exciting for me.
So I heard a lot of, this is what I like, this is what Sharon likes, this is what Sharon likes in the last couple sentences. You like to bev, you like to talk, you like to build things. Jay, what else did I say that Sharon likes?
Well, we heard that had this conference been live, you were planning a post-Ignite cruise.
I was. I actually had it booked, and I had a travel agent all set up, and I had a website all set up. So a couple of years ago, so I love to cruise. I like to travel in general, but cruises are like my favorite way of traveling. They're just super fun, and you get to have a blast. And so several years ago, people had approached me and said, wouldn't it be great if we did a community cruise? And so I wasn't able to make it happen for the last Orlando trip, but I was able to get all of the stuff in place for this year. So had we been in New Orleans, there would have been actually a cruise leaving I think it was Saturday morning, that would have gone out, that anybody who wanted to come could have hung out on. Which I'm sad that we're not going to do this, but I will pitch out. I am part of the Microsoft Virtual Community crew, and we are going to do a community meetup tomorrow afternoon instead, and I'll be in VR. So we will actually have something where we're going to just kind of hang out and chill and talk to everybody. But no, we're not getting to go on the community cruise that I really, really wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in next year's, I'll tell you that much.
And that's a big thing. So I've been following cruising very closely from a business perspective. In fact, I've heavily invested in cruising this year on purpose. So cruising is at a standstill. As you guys know, cruising worldwide has been at a standstill, and the United States government has a hold on cruising until the 1st of October right now. And the Cruise Association has actually formed a government task force to look into sailing safely. And that's been a big topic of conversation at the government level to try to figure out how to allow us to kind of get back to cruising in a safe way. And I've been watching it very, very closely. I feel like it'll be fine eventually, but they've definitely had a long year for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you just can't go for those kind of cruises in Kansas City, can you?
Yeah, no, in Kansas City, like in my backyard, we have a nature preserve with a big overgrown mud puddle. But that's about as close as I can get to real water here.
So the cityscape behind you, that's not your backyard, huh?
No, it looks kind of similar. If I was downtown Kansas City, it probably would look really similar to that, but I actually live in the suburbs. So I live about 30 minutes away from downtown.
Sure.
There's a 2,000 acre nature preserve behind me in a park, and then across the street is a golf course. So
That's
It's
cool.
actually very suburban.
That's awesome.
So you organize SPS Kansas City. Is
Every
there any
year.
plans for that?
So we this year's been a struggle, as you know, for everything, and Kansas City is no different. So my user group has chugged along every month with no problems. We've actually had record numbers this year. People
Oh,
have
that's
been
good.
attending it. We really internally talked as a group about what we wanted to do for SharePoint Saturday Kansas City, and most of us agreed that we just didn't think we'd get the attendance that would be worth our time to put something like that together.
Right.
And so what we've done is we've actually joined forces with Mark Rackley, and Jonathan and I will be in Branson helping him to run North American Collaboration Summit. We'll be, providing our time and energy to help him kind of keep things running. And we have referred anybody that's asked about it to just go to that.
Are you
Okay.
bringing the barbecue, or that's the really important question?
We will not be bringing any barbecue this year, unfortunately. I'm really sad. Like, I really wanted to do it, and we've gone back and forth all year about what we want to try to accomplish, and we just didn't feel like we'd really get enough out of it to be worth it. And so we might do something. Maybe by next year we'll either be back in person, or we'll at least have had some time to think about it. But this year, the user group, I think, has just been running quite well, and it seemed like between that and Branson, we'd be okay.
Jay, the big draw was the speaker dinner in the Kansas City barbecue.
I mean, that sounds like a good draw to me.
So good.
I would be excited.
And we go to a dive, man. We take everybody to this just super duper
barbecue.
dive barbecue.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's been around for 100 years. It's some of the best pit barbecue you've ever eaten. We actually, so Jonathan tested for his third brown belt in I don't remember what style this time, and they did the assessment prior to his certification, and they brought barbecue for the black belts to eat during the assessment to try to win him over.
That's awesome.
There you go.
I assumed you were talking about a black.
Does martial arts.
I do. I thought you were doing some kind of a color belt association for barbecue, but for martial arts, yeah, I do Taekwondo. So my daughter and I.
Yeah, he does. He's got belts in like 4 or 5 different styles. I have a Six Sigma black belt, and so for my Six Sigma black belt graduation, he did actually present me. Jonathan made me an actual black belt with my name on it, which is kind of fun.
Nice. Yeah, that's amazing.
But he's got actual belts.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, there are approximately, I'm not doing my math well, 18 hours left in the conference. What are you excited to see come out of the next 18 hours?
My plan is to go back through whatever's left that's coming up and see anything that I've missed or anything that I kind of did quickly, and just to go back and look and see some of the new features that are coming out. There's definitely some stuff in Azure I wasn't able to watch. So I was actually looking at the schedule earlier and seeing what's left that's going to be rerun. So as you know, they're kind of doing like a run, and then they're doing a rerun of everything. Yeah. So I'm going to try and go back and look through some of the reruns of some of the Azure stuff. And then I'll also be preparing for the community meetup tomorrow. I have a meeting later tonight to touch base on that. And I'm really excited because we're going to have like a hangout, and everybody's going to be able to talk. And
can you share the link for that? Because I don't believe I have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you just go to
we don't need Jay to have it. Just
I was like, is this the kind of thing we can ask about, or is it like a set community? Like we're not
no.
Part of it?
Part of the Microsoft 365 virtual community. So if you just go to m365bc.com,
okay.
All of the information is out there, and this is a virtual community. So I worked with Joel Olison and Ryan Scouten and a few other people to build this community. And we've put on several events already, and we're going to be putting on another one in the next couple of months. But you can actually join the community if you go to that m365bc.com and scroll to the bottom. There's a register to be a member of the community, and there's actually a Microsoft hosted tenant that you'll get a login to.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to be
the party. I just didn't put the whole connection with the whole community together.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, feel free to send that out to anybody you want, and we're going to be doing a virtual meetup, kind of post-Ignite virtual meetup, and I think Martin is running the bar, Martin Visser, and he will be opening the bar sometime this afternoon, I think, for people to hang out, like a club bar, pub feel, where everybody can just kind of come in and hang out. and chat, and it's BYOB, but
You're not serving virtual beers then. That's
Well, this is Martin. He might be. Who knows?
He might serve virtual beers, but if you actually want something to drink, I suggest you bring
his
your own.
setup is insane. Kind of just toying around with this computer thing. I've got computers on 3 different tables in here, and I've probably got 10 laptops. And you look at his, like, he has a camera up at the top of the room that just shows his whole setup. He looks like a professional streamer. It's crazy. He is like just crazy talented.
That's awesome. Well, I think we've exhausted our questions and certainly taken so much of your time this evening. Thank
we
you.
appreciate you taking the time.
No, I love this. We get to hang out and talk and
cheers
little
to your
nerdy
water.
talk and a little fun talk.
Cheers to your water.
Oh yeah,
I brought beer.
There we go. Yeah. Well, again, thank you. I'm really excited to have been able to talk with you this evening. And enjoy the rest of the conference. This has been, like we said at the beginning, a crazy week of trying to manage family and normal business, and then the 48 straight hours of sessions. So good luck.
And a boatload of announcements. A lot more than I was. I mean, and I'm even internal. A lot more than I was expecting. So
there's been a lot of like little sneaky. Oh, I didn't know that one. So that's been fun.
All I know is that Dan Holmes has been really excited about getting to talk and beginning and to push this stuff out. So
he had a big announcement about, what was it? Lotus 123, or what did you say earlier?
In his session, he mentioned WordPerfect and Lotus 123, and Twitter exploded. So they're like, "Oh, I remember that."
I actually still have a couple of clients that we're moving off of Lotus into Microsoft, which every time one of them pops up, I'm like, wow.
Again?
Still there. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it is still there. It's a big move, too. I helped a number of people in my consultant days to try to make that switch.
Catches me off guard every time, but hey, whatever, man. We'll get you there.
And they want it to be exactly the same. So
right. And I found that Lotus is more, when you move from the Lotus apps or the Notes apps over, it's more like the Power Platform stuff with the Power apps is way more like the Notes apps than SharePoint ever was, which is great.
Yeah, so you could rebuild a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
All right. Well, with that,
thanks again. We appreciate it. Look forward to having you speak at M365 Chicago, because we're also working on that.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. Well, we'll log into the virtual party, and maybe we'll do the cruise next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. Have a great one.
Thanks, Nico.
All right. You too. Bye, guys.
Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. That was good.